The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber. So I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten-free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at Gruns.co. That's code podcast at GRUNS.co.
Hi, everybody. This is Dawn Mitchell, and welcome to another edition of Dawn of Sports. Today, we have Andrea Yoch. We all know her and love her, a returning guest to the podcast. So she started off as the founder of Minnesota Aurora, now on the board. But you know what? She never leaves this team. Let's be honest. She is synonymous with Minnesota Aurora. We'll delve deeper into the team. And if you want to be a part owner as well, coming up.
I think we'll also talk a little bit about the Twins and the Lynx, since they're making news this week. Surprising, shocking news. People leaving posts and leaving town. Our producer today, Alex Haugen. We are coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We want to thank our sponsors, Minnesota Masonic Charities, Natrium, and longtime sponsor, longtime supporter of women's sports in the Twin Cities, Rudy Luther Toyota. A couple personal notes. Well, I'm going to mix some personal and business news here. Number one, we are recommending to our listeners to follow us now on Blue Sky. A lot of us are going to migrate over there. It's much better than Twitter, much better engagement, less evil, more fun. Please join us there. Best way to listen to this show or any of our many shows at talknorth.com. Subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. If you're free next week, we have 2 entertainment options for you. The John Krasinski Show, 7 p.m. on Tuesday, November 19th at Head Flyer Brewing with Jim Peterson as our special guest. Those things always pack the joint. If you're going to go, I recommend getting there early and grabbing a seat. And then my band, which Dawn and Andrea have been very nice to come out and see so often, we're playing Friday, November 22nd, 9:30. Sorry, I know it's late. 9:30 at Lynx downtown.
Let's go.
Don't feel obligated. You guys have been so great about coming out and hanging out with us. Don't feel obligated to come, but if you're free and you want to come, of course we love seeing you there.
Which is equally as packed as the Jim Pete and Johnny K.
Get there early
events.
to
Get there
table.
early.
Well, thanks in part to you. And one of the cool things about playing at Lynx the last few times is we've had so many women journalists, so many Twin Cities journalists come out and kind of use our band playing as a chance to celebrate and see each other, which I really appreciate. So thank you for that. And now I'll leave it to you, Dawn.
Well, should we start off with some sports news? Because we're all talking about that first topic in top of mind when we all got settled. With Dave St. Peter, who, again, we talked about you being synonymous, Andrea, with Minnesota Aurora. Dave St. Peter in this town with the Twins, moving on to be a senior advisor. And Derek Falvey moving up to president of baseball operations and business operations. Just one of the few announcements made by the team in terms of readjusting the hierarchy. Huge news, graceful news for Dave St. Peter. But wow, Andrea, you walked in saying you feel old. It's time, right?
I've never known the Twins without Dave. So I moved out here in 1989, and all throughout my career, Dave started off. We did some internships at the same time, and then he was the first communications manager at the Twins, and he was in charge. We used to, when I was at WCCO Radio, we would do our live remote broadcasts from the Twins stores. Do you remember when the Twins had stores around the Twin Cities? And so we would do the live broadcast there. And so I was the person in charge of the live broadcast. Dave was the person in charge of the store. So when I say we came up through the business together, every step of the way we've been parallel until then I chose to take a step back to have kids. And it's a funny story in our house. The day he was named president of the Minnesota Twins, I was so upset, not for Dave, but because I kept thinking that could have been me. And so my husband will recount that I I said, if I hadn't had your children, I could be president of a team right now. And my husband's like, what? Like, what did I do? And
it's pretty obvious what he did.
But if you remember, Dave was really young.
Yeah.
He was 34, 35 when he was named president of the team. Like he was
maniacal. He was just one of those people who was just going to outwork everybody in his realm.
And
and he did.
You bring up a crucial point, though. You chose to have children. I firmly believe a woman can't have it all, just not at the same time.
Yeah, I do advise young women, and we're very much getting off track. I do advise young women, it is very hard to be a good wife, a good mother, and a good leader all at the same time, mostly because sometimes they all need things at the exact same moment, and you can't do that at the exact same moment. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to step back a little bit, work a little bit less for a long time, and have been able to revise my career quite well, having taken that little bit of a step back. But at the time, it felt really hard, and I didn't know if my career would be over or if I was always sort of just going to be in the middle. And obviously, it worked out just fine, and I have great kids. So
you certainly do, and a good husband. So you kept that too.
Yeah, exactly. So for Dave, though, I just wish him nothing but the best. It's going to be so strange not seeing him at events and going to things, and maybe he still will.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's a staple.
Well, they also said in the press release, Jim, and you know more perhaps about this process than I would. I've only dealt with an ownership change so far here when it came to the Vikings, but he's going to be one of those people that kind of helps that transition of the club to perhaps a new ownership. Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, it's a natural thing for him. What is unique about Dave is in part because who he is, in part because of the way he came up through the organization, working in different departments. You know, I've had high-ranking Twins people tell me, Dave knows more about my job than I do. Mm-hmm. He just knows everything, and he gets it all.
That's key for a boss,
he gets it a lot. And he's, you know, as you probably gathered from listening to Andrea about it, he's a really decent human being. So he's not. I won't say he's an easy boss. He's very demanding, but he just knows so much. It's going to be hard to replace his institutional knowledge. Derek Falvey's a very bright guy who also did more than just stay in his lane. So he's very well positioned to do all this, and he's going to have Dave to lean on. So I don't think it's going to be a terribly difficult transition, but it will. But as Andrea already said, it's just going to be weird to not have Dave with his thumb on everything.
And he's one of those rare people that if you pass him in the concourse at a game and you say, hey, I need this from you, or could you help me with this? He remembers and he follows up.
Yep.
I don't know that I've ever, in my 30 plus years of knowing Dave, known him to drop the ball on anything.
Wow.
And so that level of attention to detail, it doesn't matter how good you are, is going to be hard to replace. And he's even just a couple weeks ago, he sent a young man to me that wants to get into sports, like soccer, asked me to meet with him. He's doing all the big things and all the little things. So I hope some of those pieces don't go away because he knows so much and he has so much to give back, and obviously plenty of years left to do that.
And when I did a big in-depth piece on him, 10 years ago or something, and I just spent a lot of time talking to people who knows, and I spent a lot of time with him at the ballpark. And what really struck me was, something you really couldn't invent. I was like, well, I want to do as much as I can following you around for a while here. He said, okay, well, what I'm doing today it was a day game, maybe a Sunday. He said, before games, I go out and I say hello to all the ushers.
Wow, that's incredible.
And he did. And it wasn't fake because all the ushers were like, oh, hey, Dave. It was like no big deal of it. They were used to seeing him before every game. He would make the rounds and say to everybody who worked in the bar down the right field line, all the ushers in the stands, he walked around and said hello to all of them.
That's incredible. Isn't that the, I hope I'm getting my president right, I'm almost positive, the Abraham Lincoln School of Leadership. Not that he had a school, but that's how he would go around and was a leader. You're seen. You're there. You're seen. You're real. You chat.
And you do the work.
It's
not the fancy
but
work.
You're visible. You're not in your office with the door closed.
If
you're
you
visible.
see a piece of, this is one of the things I talk about, if you see a piece of trash on the concourse, pick it up. That's your job.
Yeah.
It's your stadium. It's your presentation. Your fans are coming in, and it's not somebody else's job to do that, right? If water needs to be, one he used to at Minnesota United, if water needs to be hauled up to the gross press box in Blaine, and you're the one going that way, just grab the water. It's pretty simple. However, it's amazing how many people don't do it. And then that, to me, that always leads then the younger people, the people with less experience, being like, well, what, that works above them? They're not going to go hang that banner. They're not going to go carry that water. And I do think, Dave has done I've seen Dave do a lot of the jobs. And so it's going to be really interesting. I hope he figures out how he can slow down too. And whatever it is that he's going to do with being a special advisor, I assume that's going to come with a little bit more free time. Yeah. So I don't know what his hobbies are.
I think he walks his dog. I think it's his only hobby.
That's awesome.
Oh, we'll have to get him out to the bar.
Yeah, no kidding.
See the
I
band.
think we've all had in our crazy careers have had a point where when I liken it to, I'm in a blender on high with the lid off. Like there's always those moments whenever you're in sports or in this business in any way, shape, or form where you're just like, whoa. And I remember I was at a point in my career where someone said, so what do you like to do for fun? And I literally couldn't think about it. And I was like, I had a dog then. I'm like, walk my dog. But they're like, no, but like, do you like, and it really, the fact that I didn't
go to
have
sports?
an answer right away, kind of, it set me, like I said, you need to like rearrange some priorities here. Like, what do you like? Or I seriously couldn't think of something. So I hope if Dave St. Peter is at all like that, that this is the time to take that breath and figure out, oh, okay, I can do this too. But maybe he can, open up his own business and show us all how to do it.
Oh, believe me, I've already had that thought in the last couple of hours. Like, how could Aurora use Dave St. Peter? Because he is smart.
In terms of Derek Falvey, I have to share this story. We all know that he's so good at his job, but away from it, not many people get to, do the peek behind the curtain. Well, this past summer, I had my family in from Boston, and he's from Boston. So we're at an ice cream shop, and I was there with my family, and I see Derek. He was there with his wife and his kids. And it's like, hey, Dawn, immediately just kind comes over, gives you a hug. And I introduce him to my family. This is Derek. Because I'm away from work. I don't want to say, this is Derek who works for, Big Boss or the Twins, that kind of thing. And they're like, oh, hi, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Well, he noticed my nephew was wearing Arlington baseball shorts. Right. And he said, oh, Arlington. And I said, yeah, he goes, I forgot, Don, that you're from Boston. So he starts talking with my nephew about baseball in Arlington, Massachusetts. And then he starts talking to my brother, who my brother is not a baseball coach, but my brother coaches basketball, soccer, and is a track coach. So they all start chit-chatting this and that and just having great conversations. And then their family went their way, my family went mine. And I remember my brother and my nephew saying, that man was so awesome. Well, what does he do for a job? And I go, oh, he's the boss of the Twins. And they're like, what? And my little nephew, Derek, who's just turned 13, so he's not that little, he's like, wow, really? Like he's with the Minnesota Twins? And I said, yeah. So just such a great lesson in humility. And just kindness and engaging. So he's just a top quality human as well. But it's the humbleness, the humility that was really amazing, I thought.
Yeah, he got involved in the charity that I work with, ACES, as soon as he got to town. Like the first time I met him is we were sitting next to each other at a gala, and I turned to introduce myself, and I was like, wait, aren't you the new guy with the Twins?
Yeah.
And we just talked about neighborhoods and places to live and how well the kids were and everything else. But he stayed involved in ACES as his roles have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. He still makes sure that he supports the organization, which also is important.
All right, Andrea, before we get to talking about you, we need to just kind of touch on topics too, because Vikings, I think Jim just wrote a story about Sam Darnold, just coming off it recently. I think in our post-game show, we said it is not, Pierre Nugent goes, it may not be time to hit the panic button, but I know exactly where the panic button is. I'm not a panic button kind of person in any way, shape, or form. I think there's a picture of me in Minneapolis Miracle when everyone else is screaming. I'm like, I don't know if his foot's in. Like, that's just me, right? I'm like, I also couldn't see because Greg Coleman was in my way, but still, I'm not that kind of person. Like, I don't even know where the panic button is. It might be too soon to bring a panic button into a conversation conversation. This is kind of how my brain is. I just very methodical.
When has panic ever helped anybody?
I don't, and I just think, just wait and see. Yeah. I'm always that way. But Jim, you don't think that there's a panic button? But you did smile when I said...
There's nothing they can do.
Yep, exactly.
They need to coach him to being a little bit less bad than he's been and hope they can win games with their defense.
I think it's called making better decisions, not less bad.
Saying better decisions connotes optimism. I don't have any optimism. I'm trying to have restructured pessimism. They need to.
Wow. I'm going to get you a T-shirt.
Yes. Restructured pessimism.
Restructured pessimism.
Oh, that's so good. So my I did have a panic button. So I think we've all covered. I grew up in Baltimore. I have a deep, deep loathing for the Colts that goes back to waking up one morning and my football team was gone. So I bought tickets to the Colts game 2 Sundays ago because I thought it would be fun that this team that was playing really well was going to pound the crap out of the Colts, right? So I go with my son, and my whole family knows how I feel about the Colts. And I'm literally wanting to punch people in the concourse wearing Colts merchandise. And then the Vikings come out.
That's violent.
It's bad. The Vikings come out, and they're awful. And I am stressed out of my mind in the first half of this game.
That's karma. That's what I say. You wanted to punch some innocent person.
I was so stressed. And my son was like, Mom, I've never seen you like this at a football game. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I need the Vikings. And then they wouldn't. And nothing was happening in the first half. And then I hit the panic button. And I was like, nope, I'm
You're
done.
like on a game show.
I was like, yep. I was like, nope, I'm done. This team sucks. I can't believe I got my hopes up. So I would say I am moderately invested now. I still love them and I want them to do well, but I have definitely scaled back my expectations from where I was 10 days ago.
For me, I'm more concerned with patterns. You know, if it was just one game, like, I'd just write that off. But, I've seen this before where the offense has all these big names and they're really not putting up what they should and the defense is carrying the load. Wonder what the problem is. So I'm very methodical that way. But I agree with you, Jim, when there are some people going, and I have so many people come up to me, not at work, if I'm at the coffee shop, that's the first thing they want to know is, I think we should bench Sam Darnold. And I'm like,
For who? For who?
It's like, you got to give the ball to Nick Mullins. I'm like,
no, we've been
I like
there.
Nick. I really do. We've seen that movie before.
He'll throw more interceptions than Darnold throws.
And you know what? What people don't understand, they go, when Kevin O'Connell did that post-game speech, he was doing it for Sam's benefit. I said, no, he wasn't. He is a realist. Sam is his ride or die. And you know what day he knew that? The day J.J. McCarthy went down. Now, I still don't think J.J. McCarthy is going to be a starter right away. But if this situation was going on, you might see J.J. McCarthy entering the picture coming up soon. If his, learning curve went the way we assumed. But the day that he went down, it was me and you ride or die for this whole season.
Yep.
And
I do
anyone
have a
thinks
question.
differently, I think, wasn't paying attention.
Since you two know the ins and outs more, what I want to know is, what does Justin Jefferson want? Because as far as I'm concerned, he's like the most important piece. I think going into the game on Sunday, I was listening to the radio and they were talking about how he was set to move above Adam Thielen and all these things. And to me, does he still want Sam Darnold in there, or is that still just the best we have?
Well, first and foremost, Justin Jefferson just wants to win, and that's not a cliche. He is willing to let other people get the yardage, the records, all that stuff, the touchdowns, if they win. With that said, if they start losing, he's not going to be happy. But he just wants to win. Yes, does he want to catch more touchdown passes? Correct. But he also knows, again, Sam Darnold this year, 2024, is his ride or die. And I would say Sam would probably have been his preference, just going on what he said all through the offseason. He wanted a veteran quarterback coming in. And he was not even shy about saying that on any network broadcast or anything he did in the offseason. And this was before Kirk was even decided. Yes, maybe it was Kirk, but I'm sure as heck know that he wanted someone that knew how to sling the ball into him. So, and he's known what the backups are before that. So, I don't know. I think
he's also just signed a 4-year, $140 million deal.
Cha-ching,
They don't really need to make him happy right now. They need him to be happy 3 years from now.
Yeah, and I have not seen a different Justin Jefferson at all.
No, and the commonality for me among wide receivers and diva wide receivers, all wide receivers, I covered Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Anthony Carter, and if their team won, they didn't care about stats. If their team lost, then they're like, why didn't you use me more so we could win? Mm-hmm. So Jefferson's not going to cause a big stink. No. He's not going to be a problem. But that's what's going through his head. It's like, okay, we just lost. If you had found a better way. Well, actually, they just won. It felt like a loss. But
Except for to my son, who had our new kicker as his fantasy football team.
Oh, that's
there
awesome.
You go.
But let's take the 2-game losing streak there.
Yeah.
I mean, Jefferson is thinking during those games, if you had found a way to get me the ball, I would have won the game for us. That's the way receivers think.
Well, let me tell you, I don't want to speak for ownership, but they're thinking we just paid Justin Jefferson a whole lot of money.
Yeah, get him the ball.
Find a way to get him the ball.
But the flip side of that is
you can't do it every play.
Well,
obviously,
all 3 of Darnold's interceptions were him forcing the ball to Jefferson.
Yes.
So it's not. I mean, anybody can. That's why football analysis gets silly sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you got to get the ball to Jefferson. Oh well, the defense knows that too.
Right.
So yes, you do need to have a good offensive coach and a good quarterback and a creative way of getting him the ball, but you can't just force it.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because at the beginning of the year, Justin was preaching, "Hey, I'm talking to Sam about he's got to trust me, even when I'm double teamed. I'm your guy. Throw it to me." And then we saw Sam trusting him and doing it, and it was showing up. Well, now, now some of his throws were behind. They were not all perfect darts to Justin. However, with that said, everyone in the building knows that he's going to throw to Justin Jefferson if it's a go route, if he's open. Yes, but they've got to, and that's where Kevin O'Connell has, a tough job to do. What can I do to try to get Jefferson open? How many decoys can I have? But let me tell you, you can't use Justin Jefferson as a decoy for the rest of the season and be happy. He's got a contract coming up too. So,
and the other thing is, if Darnold throws the ball better in those situations, he shouldn't have thrown the first one at all. Right. The second one
wasn't even an interception,
but it's still a bad throw, and it could have been a much better throw.
Right.
But
would have been a lot less.
Don't throw the ball so badly that the referees can make a bad call on you. The third one, horrible throw. Mm-hmm. And there was probably a place you could put that ball where either Jefferson's going to catch it or nobody's going to catch it. Instead, he threw it through the defender.
And for me, hindsight is 20/20, and I don't know. A calm Sam Darnold making decisions quicker before. Is it because the pressure was off at the beginning of the year? I don't know.
Or nobody had really seen him. That's the other thing. It's like our first couple of games, how familiar was anybody with the combination of Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson? Then you get a couple games in there and everybody's like, oh, okay, now we can see what this guy's habits are and signs are and his tells are, right? You get a whole lot of film.
I do agree with that, but I mean in situations where the O-line was giving him plenty of time.
Yes.
On his checkdowns, and you brought it up earlier, his decisions. Throwing one when 2 other people might have been open. Is that a sign of a stressed? I don't know. I'm not inside Sam Darnold's head.
I also think
it's really scary in here.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of cobwebs. You can just see it. He's pressing.
Right.
And that's what happened. That's why previously in his career, he was able to give a team a good month and then collapse. Good month, collapse. Because as soon as he starts overthinking, as soon as he feels stressed,
right.
That's everything.
So have they called in the sports psychologist?
I think he ran out of them.
I think Jim needs to bring some T-shirts. What's your slogan? Your Logan?
Restructured pessimism.
What am I trying to say?
Restructured pessimism.
Logo slogan. Yes.
Or Chris Hockey's favorite thing, which is everybody stay calm. Everybody be cool.
I think I should just sit with them.
Cool.
I don't have a panic button.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm like, yeah.
I always love these conversations too, because if all of those people were rushing at me that weighed that much,
we all know.
We all know which way they're running.
12 people in the world who can do that job well.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the reality. All right, let me do a little business here. Then I want to talk Lynx with you too, and whatever else, Andrea. We're also going to give Andrea the floor.
We got to
at some
talk
point.
about her.
Don't let me forget to talk about
Teal
Masonic, because I know they're one of your sponsors.
Yes,
so.
Good. Well, I'll let you do that here shortly. In fact, why don't we start with Minnesota Masonic Charities, great Minnesota company we're very lucky to be aligned with.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota, or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. I am happy that Minnesota Masonic Charities has chosen Minnesota Bound and this podcast as a place to help spread the word. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
Thanks also to Rudy Luther Toyota. Again, they've been sponsoring shows across this platform for a long time, and they are a great supporter of women's sports in Minnesota.
Ready for a women-forward car dealership? Rudy Luther Toyota empowers their many women on staff in sales, management, and service. Whether you are looking for a new Toyota or pre-owned vehicle, Rudy Luther Toyota has something for everyone. Every vehicle comes with a Luther Advantage. 10 cents off fuel and car wash discounts at holiday stations, Luther Advantage warranty, and 5-day return policy on pre-owned vehicles. Located just 5 minutes west of downtown Minneapolis, off 394 and General Mills Boulevard. And they're also hiring. Want to join the team but don't know where to start? Visit rudyluthertoyota.com today.
Now I'll mention Natrium, natrium.com. You can order online. Great way to go. But I recommend going to their stores. They're beautiful. They are packed with an incredible array of CBD, THC options. It's amazing how many flavored drinks they have. You can get gummies, candies, oils, balms, dips. Whether you can find something for inflammation, you find something for headaches, you find something for sleep. I tend to use the sleep ones, but it's just amazing how nice these places are and how knowledgeable the sales representatives are and how they will be able to steer you to exactly what you want in terms of taste, effects. And you can take them for fun. You can take them, as I do, for sleep. You'll find something that benefits you in your life. Natrium, natrium.com. Also look for Wildflower stores. I know there's not a Natrium right by where I live. There are 2 Wildflower stores right by where I live, and that's where I go. But they're basically the same company. So check them out as well. Andrea, you had something to say about Minnesota Masonic Charities?
Well, yeah, because Friday night is the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital Fashion Fest. And to show you how far randomly my sports career has gone is I'm actually walking in the show Friday night with another Aurora player and a bunch of other people in the Twin Cities.
That's awesome.
But I know that Masonic's a good supporter of you guys, and I was thinking about that on the way over here. I was like, if you had ever told my 22-year-old self when I moved out here that I would be modeling in a fashion show to represent my sports team, I would have absolutely said you were nuts. But I am looking forward to that Friday.
Fantastic. I love it. And by the way, Dawn's show has been just fantastic, in part because she brings in such great guests. Last week's guest was Jesse Stomsky, and I would just recommend going back to listen. Fascinating person, undertaking a lot of very difficult work. I highly recommend going back on that one. Now let's get to what's happening in the women's sports world right now, which is the Lynx lose Katie Smith, assistant coach to Ohio State, her alma mater. They lose Claire DeWellius to the Unrivaled, the 3-on-3 basketball league, founded in part by Nafisa Collier. These are big, big losses.
They are, and Cheryl Reeves spoke so much this year about how she was able to do what she did with Team USA and with the Lynx because of Claire, and also how much she leaned on Katie, too, as a coach. And what I do love women supporting women. So when they were leaving, whether it's Rebecca Brunson or whoever it was with the team saying yes, supporting them, just like you said in the past, Andrea, when it comes to Aurora, you build these teams because you want to see women succeed and move on. But there is that flip side that you have to deal with. Just like when a star player in college goes pro, there is still a vacancy that is left on a team. And I think it's a double loss, a two-fisted punch right here.
Well, and I was wondering too if it's a good sign for us that Cheryl's staying for a while, right? So that these two women are looking at their careers and saying, okay, I'm ready to take the next step. It's maybe not going to be here with the Lynx because Cheryl's staying, right? So therefore I need to move. And in which case that's a wonderful thing. But also there's the ownership stuff happening there.
Yeah.
And college sports, this happens in soccer a lot. College sports is more stable and on the women's side, high paying for a lot of these coaches positions. And I don't know that that's the situation with Ohio State,
Right.
but frequently I have seen women's soccer coaches leave the pros and go back to college. And I've asked people about that and they'll say, no, the college programs are paying better. So, I think there's a lot of factors that go into these decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And some even make the decision if they have kids for tuition reciprocity or any of that thing. It's a personal decision down the line, but you're right. And you see that even with men. Men will go to the college game too and leave, but who now who's going to fill those shoes?
And there
Cheryl
goes their
can't do
off
it all.
season too, by the way. Any hope of resting. That's what I was thinking about yesterday. I was like, do you just get resumes? Like, how do you even fill those two positions?
Well, Katie was exceptional this year. She should be a head coach in the WNBA. I'm gathering that it's more personal reason that she's leaving right now to go back to basically what's home for her. Claire, it'll be hard to replace Katie. No way around it. There are also people out there you can see doing a good job. It's hard to compare whether they do as good a job as Katie, but there are other people out there who could do it. Claire, pretty unique. The way she got into the organization, the way she rose up through the organization, her ability to work hand in hand with Cheryl Reeve, who we all know Cheryl Reeve is a great human being and a great coach. She's also a hard boss. She is. She's a hard boss. To find somebody who wants to play that role, it's almost like you have to hire another young Claire and hope that she develops the way Claire did. I don't know that you go out and hire somebody and plug somebody in to that role and have them be able to work as well as Cheryl as Claire did.
Or is this a chance to restructure some of the roles?
Yeah.
I mean, that's always one of the things to look at is, are there things that we would do differently now if we had different people? Right. And I have to imagine all those conversations are happening.
Yeah. I'm also fascinated by Cheryl's career path in that, I think there have been times where she probably would have been willing to step away, say, okay, I've done enough here. Maybe I should go coach men's. Maybe I should try to be just purely a general manager. She has so many paths available to her. And I feel like, and this is more a feel thing more than a knowledge thing. It feels like a couple of years ago, within the last couple of years, she and her wife both basically said, you know what, this is what we do. We're here. We're invested in being in Minneapolis. We're invested in building this franchise. Our son goes to school here. We have a great support system here. We're locking in and making this happen.
And they're Aurora season ticket holders, so you can't get that if they go somewhere else.
How could she leave?
Yeah, exactly. Carly comes to a lot of our games. She played college soccer.
Right.
And so she's a big soccer person. And so Cheryl comes as much as she can. Carly comes a lot, brings their son. And so, yeah, I think it's a big shakeup. And again, I'm not totally up to date what's happening with the arbitration, but you are looking at a major potential ownership change as well.
It sounds like
so I think when you're making job decisions, you're looking at all those things.
True.
Exactly.
And we just recorded the John Krasinski show earlier today, and he was basically saying that it looks like at the soonest you're going to have any news might be a month, probably going to be more like 2 months. And if there were going to be if the A-Rod Lori group won it, they probably wouldn't be approved until like an NBA Board of Governors meeting like in February. So even though things are happening right now, we're not going to have resolution on this probably for at least 2 months, maybe 3.
And if they lose, can Glenn Taylor still turn around and sell the team just for the new price?
Sure. Yeah. If Glenn wins control, it's his team. He can do whatever he wants with it.
Absolutely. I would just say for the Lynx side, with their success, it is a plum job no matter what. If they keep, let's just say, even if they just keep, you want to be a coach, you want to come in here and do this, of course. Who doesn't want to coach on a team like that, especially with a lot of these players coming back, and also a prime position for someone who wants to be in management. Someone like a young Andrea Yoch coming up saying, I should be a GM by now.
And I want to learn, from Cheryl Reeve.
Right. So
it's, and it's a full building and a lot of support in the community. So no, I think they'll have lots of choices. I have to imagine their phones are burning up.
Well, speaking of burning up, let's change the topic of the discussion when it comes to women to your team, to Minnesota Aurora. A new thing this year because for a long time it was sold out. If you wanted to be an owner, when those stakes first opened up, they were gobbled up. So tell us, what is the shift there that's going on with your team, with Minnesota Aurora, and reorganizing and doing things like that?
So it started with actually just a massive disappointment. We were trying really hard to go pro and join the National Women's Soccer League, which is the top women's league in the United States. We submitted a bid in June that we were really excited about, felt really great about it. And after we submitted it, a few weeks after we submitted it, our lead investor had to drop out. And so we lost our funding. And that was a gut punch because our bid truly was beautiful. We had everything. We had examples of all our media support and all our fan support and how much merchandise we sell and our brand. And we had communities that were ready to step up and help us build a practice facility and all the things that the league was looking for in an expansion team we had. But players and the pros are not going to play for free. So you have to have money. So we lost our lead investor mid-July. And after the deadline, we scrambled, and every person in the Twin Cities was trying to help us find someone. But it's really hard to find someone to give you $150 million with like 3 weeks notice.
It always takes me at least a month.
Exactly. So, which is why we're sitting here, Jim, is because you and I don't make...
I was about to say, what's his name?
Exactly. So once we had to withdraw our bid and sort of admit defeat, we had been building the club to go pro. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly you realize, we're not going pro right now. And so we had to make some adjustments we're going to be pre-professional for a while. We are 3 years in. We've built this beautiful big thing that none of us expected. So now what does Aurora 2.0 look like? And part of it is money, right? We did not have this rich person coming to write a big check. So we had to go back out and find money. So we decided to open up another round of community ownership since we did leave a lot of people out the last time because we sold out. So we launched it at the state fair. And we're about halfway to our goal right now. We this morning we were about $700 away from $600,000. So hoping we cross over the $600,000 probably by the end of the day. And so we have a ways to go, but it's been really incredible seeing how many people are jumping in again. And so our goal is just to raise enough money to help us figure out what the next few years look like, expand our camps. I think we're going to have to hire a person or a bank or something to help us go find that big money. Mm-hmm. Because the beauty of the club is it was founded by regular everyday citizens, and we are as grassroots as you can get. The hard part is we don't hang out in the rooms where people are saying, hey, like I just heard this women's team is for sale.
Right.
Oh yeah, I've got a buddy, I'll call them. Like we don't have that Rolodex. And despite how many people have been trying to help us, like the Minnesota Twins are going to sell in a few months and I'm going to lose my mind. Because it's going to be somebody that no one's ever heard of, that the poll ads were just able to pick up the phone and call. And they were like, oh yeah, what are the 1.2 billion is what the Twins rate? Please tell me where these people are. So we're reopened for community ownership, and people can go to wefunder.com/MN Aurora to buy shares. The investment starts at $100, and you can gift them for the holidays.
Really?
So they are really great holiday gift ideas.
Oh, that's great. Do you guys have like a little card or something
Yep,
made
you
up?
get a little card digitally, and then you could like buy a scarf to go with it and package it up. But we're getting a lot of emails, especially from grandparents, looking for gifts for the grandchildren. So give a soccer team.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Have you had to do any personnel restructuring because of that, or have people left? And I know that you were on the board. Are you going back, taking a president role, or how's that going to go?
We're looking at all of that right now. We do need to recognize that there are things we really want to do that we need to build towards. So camps is a really good example. We ran camps for the first time last summer. Mm-hmm. They were incredibly successful. They sold out. So camps is an area we want to lean into, but we don't really know what sort of personnel we need to do that. So do you do an MEA camp? Do you do a Christmas break camp, right? Do you do a day off from school camp? And so that's what we're trying to figure out is where are the good revenue pieces? where are the pieces that are important for our community and how do we pull them together while still staying focused on soccer because that is our primary product. And so that's a lot of what our off season has been. And really, it's only been about 8 weeks since we finished the fair, launched the WeFunder, and had to admit defeat on the NWSL for now.
For now.
This team deserves to go pro, and this community deserves to have a pro women's soccer team.
Amen. But it's also been a team until you get there. You've been bird launchers. You certainly have in terms of a lot of these women going pro from this program. Just recently you had another.
Yep. We're up to 15.
Yes. I was going to say, what is the tally? 15.
Yeah, we're at 15 now. And what you don't see, which I'm also equally proud of, is we have a good number now working in sports as well. So we have the ones that went off to play pro.
Yes.
And then we have a lot who either interned with us or were working part-time for us. And even some of our former players who are all now working in sports. Like one of our first interns, she works for The Athletic now. She needed writing experience and she just got hired to do European soccer coverage for The Athletic.
Incredible.
Yeah. And so it's stories like that really make us committed to continuing this mission, because what was missing was that piece of experience that everybody needed. And we've given them the experience and they've gone on to know exactly what we'd hoped.
Well, we've all seen the stats, especially so young women that get involved in sports. If they have any kind of leadership in that direction at all, they can move on to the C-suite. They can move on. They can just kind of branch out however they want. I have noticed with even the young women that started your very first year, how empowered and strong, just as people, they've come back. Yes, better soccer players as well, better product on the field. But it's been so wonderful to see these young women turn into, they're just more confident. They're go-getters. They're smarter. Their dreams are expanding. It's been really terrific to see.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Mariah win, who's one of everybody's favorites at the Lynx game. If you told me 2 years ago that Mariah was going to be signing autographs, taking pictures, living large,
wearing sunglasses and like being all swaggy too,
right,
like the confidence,
so much swag,
right?
It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you getting choked up too? Yeah, it is.
Nobody's ever called me swaggy.
Well, that'll be your next
You're swaggy
T-shirt.
on the stage.
You got to get past the.
Yes,
when
you
you're
are.
playing, you're swaggy.
Am
when
I?
you're playing, yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't?
No,
You
I
don't think so?
I think I'm actually kind of boring up there. I have to work on that.
Well, with your twill outfits, I don't know. You're stepping your swag up that way.
I actually need to figure out what the hell I'm going to wear on Friday.
Yeah, see?
So
Put it
take
out
me
for a
away.
social media vote.
Ooh, that's a
Jim,
good
when
idea.
was the last time
On
you think
Blue
you've
Sky.
ever said that in your life? I got to figure out what I'm going to wear on Friday.
That was the first time.
Woo-hoo! Welcome
This
to what
is
it's
a
like in the head of a
groundbreaking
woman.
show.
Yeah, exactly.
We're always like, well, what am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? Oh, and speaking of that, I know Alex, our producer here, kind of teased us, but it is legit. And I've had other people ask me, and it's not just people here in this room, but just in general, about how fashion so much is playing a role in sports. And it's gone to this like next echelon. You and I, we were talking about nails to begin with, and guys are wearing nail polish too, like how you can express yourself. And yeah, I remember Stephon Diggs would sometimes, get some funny comments because he came in all, decked out. Even before when I first got here, who was it? Dante Culpepper had his fur coats, right? I mean, but now there's runways basically to go to a game. The Lynx, when they had the semifinals here, they had to stop and take a picture. They had like a carpet rolled out and a backdrop.
I mean, we even do too.
It
Ours
is
is sponsored
huge.
by the Mall of America.
What was that? You did?
The players went down and got styled by the Mall of America.
Yeah.
They stop in front of a backdrop and get their pictures taken.
And that's
my favorite right
pressure.
now is Ivan Pace with the Vikings. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he comes in like with a half shirt or no shirt, that is swag. Yeah.
I love
Not all of
watching
us
the
can pull that
NFL.
off.
Yeah. The NBA, they kind of do it cool. WNBA has been doing it for the past couple of years. But someone asked me, like, is this now a new thing? And I said, it's gradual, but it is definitely at a crescendo. And it is fun to watch. But the guys are like, it's more pressure. And it's also pressure. I got to get how many pictures before a game with my wife in her outfit and in my uniform. And, it's a whole nother thing to think about.
And also, the women don't have that budget. So when I do look at some of the NWSL pictures and the WNBA pictures, I'm like, I know you guys can't afford
but
those
that's
clothes.
when you got to get a sponsorship, right? But like you said, you just don't hang out with people that have 1.5 billion. It's not like they can just say, "Hey,
do you want to dress me?"
Yeah. I am just.
Although I went to the Billie Eilish concert last night, and I do think the casual is coming back because she just wears.
There you go, Jim. You're all set.
Big,
you got your
baggy
swag.
clothing.
Yeah, now I think it's an incredible spectrum because you'll go in the Wolves locker room and they'll be leaving and they'll be wearing like torn T-shirts, torn jeans. Now the shoes are always fit, as they say.
Oh yeah,
the shoes are always on point, but anything else they're wearing, it might look like they lost a bet.
The shoes aren't necessarily the fit. The fit is the fit.
Okay, well, whatever you call cool shoes, they have cool shoes. But the rest, anything else they're wearing, it might look like they lost a bet. Whereas WNBA women have made it a point to look special when they walk in the door.
International soccer, they're all required to dress the same. So when my day job, working with some of the international teams, when they come to the U.S., they match head to toe.
That's weird.
And so I don't know where
it's very Olympic-y.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know where the style thing came from. I'm sure it's just an American thing, right? But the English teams and the foreign teams, they wear their uniforms, their travel uniforms. They get off the bus. Like you never see them, and even wandering around the hotels, they're in their team issued gear.
Wow, you save a lot of money that way.
Too much.
Well, takes the pressure off making decisions.
You brought up the whole like looking like Justin, kind of like a with holes and stuff like that. I literally have like this favorite thin black sweater that I have, and it disappeared in the back of my sweater, came out, and it's got holes now, and it's cashmere. But I put it on the other day, right, and under a jacket, and there was like a little hole in the bottom. Somebody literally, no, I wasn't on TV with it, said, "Oh my God, I love that sweater. I've been looking for something with those like rips and stuff." And I'm like, it's just old. But like, I was like, I'm in fashion. Like, so don't throw away anything that looks like it's got a
my
mop
jeans
hole
that
in
I
it.
have on right now have on these, they're falling apart and it looks like I paid for that. I just love these jeans and I've had them forever. So they're naturally worn holes. But my husband will say, people pay a lot of money for jeans that look like that.
See?
Like, I know.
We're the OGs.
In the guitar world, it's called relicking. They will take a brand new guitar and they'll try to beat it up in the way that a guitar played on stage for 2 decades would be beat up.
Wow.
And some people hate it. Well,
does it make it sound better?
Some people, there are a lot of debates in the guitar world about what actually affects sound. One theory is a broken-in guitar sounds better. If the paint is thinner or worn away in some points, supposedly that might make it more resonant. Other people just think it looks cool. Because to actually wear down a guitar's paint like that, you really do have to play it on stage and sweat like a pig and have your deodorant slime onto the paint and wipe it off. I mean, that's really what happens. People think it's cool. That it's not just wear and tear. It literally, the only way you can actually take paint off the way it's taken off on a lot of the old great guitars, it really is deodorant like getting on there and just melting the paint away. So you have 2 choices. You can either do that for 3 or 4 decades and hope that your guitar comes out looking cool, or you can just go buy a relic guitar that somebody else already buffed out.
But that's a lot more money.
Relic guitars can be more money.
Right.
But honestly, you can buy a guitar at any price point these days. You can buy a great guitar for $500. You can buy a great guitar for $50,000.
So while my brain may not have a panic button, it does have flashes. When you're talking about that, I'm like a grill with hamburgers. It's like, just, don't clean it. Like a nice pan.
Right.
And that's how my brain's going to all these things that are just better with age. And I said, now if it were only true for like real age.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
we
can
like
all
shoes.
hope.
You would have swag.
I would have fewer wrinkles.
So this is what I never understand when athletes get brand new shoes for every game.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, but isn't that uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Right? Aren't you better off with your cleats that you've worn for the last 5 games and you have all broken in?
Yeah.
In my dubious career as an athlete, I couldn't stand new shoes. Couldn't stand them. I had to have the old broken in ones.
I always get the blisters on the back of your heel, but I learned the double sock trick on that. So every time you do that, if you could put double socks on, you won't get it. But you got to break it in, make it feel good. But then there's two broken in.
Clearly, I am not in the business for my fashion sense. So,
we can all take a page out of it. But that, like you said, Europeans, sometimes they all wear the same thing. It depends on the team, too. I know in the NHL, some coaches lay down the edict that you're all going to wear suits on away games.
College, you do.
When I was in high school, you had to dress up game day. It didn't have to be a dress or a skirt, but it had to be dressed up more than your normal thing. So, maybe I could get away with my acid watch looking jeans right now that are actually sweatpants. Comfort is key.
Yeah. I think that's where this is all going, and I'm grateful. Comfortable clothes that actually look decent.
Did you wear a tie in the early days?
I've always been anti-tie.
I don't remember seeing you in a tie.
It's got to be a special occasion for me to wear a tie.
Okay.
Now, because Twill has been such a great sponsor for us for all these years at TalkNorth.com, I buy nice clothes. I bought suits. I bought ties at Twill. But you really got to do something to get me to wear it.
Okay. Like dye?
Dying is in the top 10 things you can do. To get
I'm
me
just
to wear a tie.
curious.
Yes. I would like you to not do that.
I appreciate that,
but
Jim. Thank you.
If it happened, I would wear a tie. Yes.
Okay.
One trend I'm happy that is going away is women. Well, I like that sneakers can be worn with dresses.
Yes.
And that women don't have to wear dresses on the sidelines. And because they were for a while there, that's what was going on.
That's stupid.
I remember there was one game, it was in New England last time the Vikings were there, and it was kind of rainy. It was super rainy out. And not that we're long in the tooth, but Erin Andrews was there and I was there. We've known each other for years. We're there in our raincoats and our
Is that the weekend we went to hockey?
Boots. That is the weekend we went to hockey. We went to BCBU before we did.
Saturday night. And then, I took my son to the game the next day.
We went there and it was kind of that rainy weekend. And this poor young reporter, I don't know if she was from, I'm assuming in New England State. I don't know if she was from Rhode Island or she didn't look like she was one of the Boston reporters. She came out in a dress. She did have a nice raincoat on, but high heels and on a field where you're sinking. And you could just see the poor girl trying not to get the back part of the heel into the field because you're sinking in. And I was just thinking, because, that comes from the pressure from your bosses. And it just seemed like an old school thought kind of thing. And Erin caught me looking at her heels and she looked at me and we looked at each other and she said, she'll learn. Yeah. She'll learn. But I'm so thankful now that you can wear sneakers.
Yeah, the commissioner of the NWSL, Jessica Berman.
Yes.
She is the master of sneakers. And in the first conference I went to, and I was, trying to make an impression and introduce myself, and she's up there in this great suit with her sneakers. And I was like, okay, I'm done with my fancy shoes.
Yeah, because before it was looked down upon, it was poo-pooed, why is that guy wearing sneakers? But I'm like, do you know how many miles people put on their feet walking around, man or woman, around a stadium?
And the stadiums, it's concrete. Oh, that's the thing is we're running laps on concrete. Obviously, and I both had leg issues in the last 2 years, and my leg flared up this summer, and I texted our team doctor. It's like, my leg's really hurting. And she said, what did you do last night? And I said, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And she's like, how many steps? So I went and looked, and I had done 18,000 steps at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, all on concrete.
All on concrete.
And so it's not, and remember the Metrodome, how uncomfortable the Metrodome floor was on your back?
Oh, it was horrible. Torrey Hunter once told me, and Torrey Hunter was somebody who was famous for diving and running into walls and running into teammates, do anything to get the ball. He told me the hardest thing his body ever dealt with was standing in the Metrodome outfield.
Really?
He said you're basically standing still on concrete and then having to go from that to 60 miles an hour. He said nothing was worse for his back and his knees than standing still.
Yeah, even just going to batting practice. I remember you'd stand around at batting practice, and I go up to the press box, and I was young. I was like, why does my back hurt so much? And it was the beloved Metrodome.
Well, Andrea, do you have any final comments that you want to say to people in terms of the Aurora, how far it's come in a short amount of time, but also with this new vision, how people can help?
Yeah, really, we just encourage everybody, if you can afford to buy shares, that is a really important and significant way to join our community. You become a part of the group that elects 2 board members so that they're not shares for show. You actually have a stake in the team and a voice in the team and the decisions we make going forward. The next couple of years are going to be critical for us. We've had tremendous success. How do we continue to grow? And raising this money, coming to games, buying merchandise, just telling your friends, whatever, following us on social media, any of those things help, because the landscape for women's sports is actually getting more and more crowded. PWHL just announced a bunch of new teams. It's just going to get more competitive. So if you love what we've been doing, if you feel bad about things happening in the world and you just feel like you want to make a difference, this honestly is a really great way to feel like you're helping support women, you're supporting our community, and we are going to deliver the best product we can for you, because we feel very responsible for all the people that have invested their money, right? This is, if you're mad at us, you can find us because we live here in the Twin Cities, right? We're not on our private jets. You're never going to be able to, like, if you want to complain and you're mad, chances are you can run into one of us somewhere. And so you can feel really good that the money you're investing is being taken care of to the best of our abilities.
Well, I want to thank you. Not only do I know you personally, but what this team has done for others in the community as well. And I know that you were disappointed when it didn't go pro, but I do think a pre-pro league is so essential for young female athletes to find their way between college and pros, high school and college, just to find their way and to find out that they mean something and can have a home somewhere. So thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you to our community, because they're really the ones making those players feel special. You can't replace that.
No, you can't. Can't replace you either. Andrea Yoch, thank you so much for coming on.
So I can't get Jim to wear a tie then?
If you ask me to wear a tie, I will wear a tie.
Get him a clip-on that feels like a sweatshirt.
When we go pro,
Deal.
will you wear a tie at our press conference?
Yes.
Done.
Remind me. Text me a reminder, because I'm an airhead, but I promise I will do it if properly reminded.
Can you imagine if that actually happens and I wake up that morning before the press conference? I got to text Jim.
That's the most important thing I can possibly do today.
Can it be a clip-on?
No.
I
want him to tie a tie.
I don't wear ties often, but I would never wear a clip-on.
Okay. That's well,
Twill doesn't sell clip-ons, okay?
Well, and plus, you're getting your swag on. No clip-on.
I'm just not comfortable with that phraseology, but I'll try to adapt to it.
What? One more time for that T-shirt.
What was it? Restructured pessimism.
There you go. Love it. Thanks so much, you guys.
I gotta write that down.
You do. We should keep a quote book.